ARMY shocked. Did Jennie's name just trigger tension between Jimin and Taehyung? The shock was immediate, the reaction explosive. The mere mention of Jennie's name has once again thrown ARMY into a state of confusion, and this time the storm involves not only Taehyung but also Jimin. How can one name ignite such chaos, pulling two of BTS's most prominent figures into a web of speculation that refuses to disappear? The question now haunting fans is whether this sudden twist signals genuine tension between Jimin and Taehyung or whether it is yet another narrative crafted to inflame the rivalry between BTS and BLACKPINK. For years, Jennie's name has hovered at the center of controversy, often linked to Taehyung through recurring rumors that shook the foundation of K-pop. Now, with Jimin unexpectedly dragged into the conversation, the narrative has taken an even darker turn. Fans are left questioning the timing, the motives, and the implications. Why Jimin and why now? The resurfacing of Jennie's name, coupled with the constant shadow of Taehyung's past associations, creates an uncomfortable overlap that ARMY cannot ignore. The tension stems from the perception that Jennie's presence in the conversation may represent more than coincidence. For Taehyung, her name has long been an echo of unresolved speculation, a rumor that resurfaces precisely when competition between BTS and BLACKPINK intensifies. For Jimin, the sudden link is new, jarring, and confusing, raising concerns that narratives once confined to one member are now threatening to ripple across the group. Could this be a tactic to destabilize BTS's unity as they prepare for their highly anticipated comeback? Or is it simply the unavoidable consequence of global stardom, where every coincidence becomes amplified into scandal? Fans have been quick to point out the psychological impact of such rumors. Jimin, known for his reserved and deeply emotional nature, is often the target of intense scrutiny regarding his relationships, both personal and professional. To see his name tied to Jennie, even indirectly, places him in the center of an already volatile debate. On the other hand, Taehyung's past with Jennie remains one of the most polarizing subjects in K-pop, a narrative so powerful it continues to resurface despite years of silence. Together, the intertwining of their names with hers becomes almost unbearable for fans who value harmony within BTS. What amplifies the sense of crisis is the broader context. BTS have just returned from military service, and the world is watching closely to see whether they can reclaim their unrivaled dominance. BLACKPINK, meanwhile, continue to command global attention, with Lisa's recent VMA victory sparking a wave of heated debates. Against this backdrop, the sudden triangulation of Jennie, Jimin, and Taehyung feels less like harmless gossip and more like a weapon aimed directly at the core of ARMY's loyalty. Fans are asking, is this narrative designed to fracture the unity of BTS? Or is it simply a storm of coincidences feeding off the heightened rivalry between the two fandoms? The intensity of online reaction underscores just how explosive this situation has become. Social media platforms were flooded with arguments, theories, and even digital warfare between ARMY and BLINK. Some insist the rumors are recycled distractions meant to overshadow BTS's comeback preparations. Others argue that Jennie's repeated involvement is no accident, suggesting there may be layers of truth the public has yet to uncover. And in the middle of it all, Jimin and Taehyung remain silent, their silence fueling the speculation even further. Is this silence that fans find most unsettling? In an industry where every gesture is scrutinized, even the absence of response becomes a response. Does Jimin's quietness imply discomfort? Does Taehyung's refusal to address the past suggest lingering truths? Or are both simply refusing to validate baseless rumors? The lack of answers leaves room for imagination, and imagination is precisely what drives these controversies into uncontrollable flames. Observers also note the symbolic weight of this rumor. Jimin and Taehyung are not only bandmates but also close friends, often celebrated for their bond within BTS. The idea that Jennie's name could become a wedge between them terrifies fans, who see unity as the foundation of BTS's strength. Whether true or not, the speculation plants seeds of doubt, and in fandom culture, even seeds can grow into storms. At the heart of the uproar lies a deeper truth about the fragility of idols' public images. In the world of K-pop, privacy is scarce, and every association, no matter how minor, can be transformed into scandal. Jennie's global influence ensures that any link to her name will explode far beyond ordinary gossip. For Jimin, the sudden association threatens to create a narrative he never asked for. For Taehyung, it reopens wounds that fans believed were long buried. For ARMY, it sparks fear that the harmony of their group could be tested in ways no performance or chart ranking could ever mend. The most haunting aspect of this resurgence is its timing. BTS's upcoming album and world tour are meant to mark their triumphant return, a moment of unity after years apart. Yet the timing of Jennie's name resurfacing, tied not only to Taehyung but now also to Jimin, shifts attention from celebration to speculation. Could this controversy cast a shadow over the group's biggest moment? Could it create unnecessary tension within ARMY itself, dividing fans into camps of defense and suspicion? These are the questions circulating, with no clear answers in sight. One thing remains undeniable: the narrative will not disappear. The more fans dissect it, the stronger it becomes. The more silence persists, the louder speculation grows. And with BTS and BLACKPINK locked in an unending battle for global dominance, Jennie's name will continue to resurface whenever the rivalry demands fuel. Ultimately, the situation has become less about romance and more about perception. Whether or not Jennie has ever been directly linked to Jimin or Taehyung is irrelevant. What matters is what fans believe, what they project, and what they choose to amplify. In this sense, Jennie's name has become a symbol of rivalry, of power, of disruption. And for ARMY, the most pressing concern is whether this symbol will leave cracks in the unity of BTS, or whether the group will once again rise above the storm. The burning question lingers: did Jennie's name truly trigger tension between Jimin and Taehyung, or is this yet another shadow cast by the relentless spotlight of fame? Until answers emerge, ARMY will remain on edge, watching, questioning, and fearing that history may repeat itself in ways they are not ready to confront. The storm refuses to die down, and the silence from both Jimin and Taehyung has only made matters worse. Fans now find themselves in a constant state of unease, dissecting every detail, every expression, and every interaction between the two. A simple glance in a performance, a pause in an interview, or even the lack of public interaction becomes magnified into evidence of underlying tension. This is how fragile the situation has become, where absence speaks louder than presence, and where every gesture is treated like a coded message. One of the most alarming aspects of this controversy is the way it divides the fandom. ARMY, known worldwide for their unity and strength, now face the risk of internal fractures. Some defend Jimin fiercely, insisting that his name is being unfairly dragged into a narrative he has no part in. Others worry that Taehyung remains the unavoidable center of this storm, questioning why his past continues to haunt the group. Between these voices are those who argue that Jennie's name has been deliberately weaponized, used again and again to destabilize BTS at critical moments. The question becomes not only about Jimin and Taehyung's relationship, but also about ARMY's ability to remain united in the face of manufactured chaos. It is worth noting how history seems to repeat itself. Years ago, whispers about Taehyung and Jennie were dismissed by many as baseless, yet the memory lingers. Now, by pulling Jimin into the conversation, the narrative takes on a new layer of danger. This is no longer about a single member and a single name. It is about the possibility of rivalry inside BTS, about whether Jennie's name can become a wedge between the two closest figures in the group. The fear is not just about rumors, but about what those rumors represent. The fragility of trust in a world where image and perception matter as much as reality. Social media, once a platform of celebration and connection, has transformed into a battleground. Hashtags, comments, and videos flood timelines, with ARMY and Blink clashing in digital wars that show no signs of slowing down. What makes the situation even more dangerous is the global attention it receives. Headlines amplify the drama, blogs twist narratives for clicks, and casual readers begin to wonder if there is truth buried beneath the noise. In this way, perception becomes reality, and Jennie's name grows heavier each time it resurfaces. Jimin's situation deserves particular attention. Known for his vulnerability and emotional openness, he has often spoken about the weight of public pressure. To see his name entangled with Jennie's, a figure already surrounded by years of rumor, could place immense strain on him both privately and professionally. Fans worry that this could affect his confidence, his performances, or even his relationships within BTS. Meanwhile, Taehyung's resilience is being tested once again, forced to relive narratives that he has worked tirelessly to move beyond. Together, the pressure on both men is enormous, and ARMY cannot help but feel protective yet powerless. The timing is what makes this controversy particularly chilling. BTS are preparing for what may be the most important phase of their career. A return to the stage after years of military service, with expectations higher than ever. Every fan, critic, and rival is watching closely, waiting to see whether BTS can maintain their legendary status. In this fragile moment, the resurfacing of Jennie's name, now linked to two members instead of one, feels like sabotage. Could this controversy be an intentional attempt to distract, to destabilize, or even to overshadow BTS?